Hello and welcome. You're with the news today, your primetime destination news. Newsmakers talking points. This is Tuesday night and the big story. The State Bank of India submits electoral bonds data finally to the Election Commission, meeting the Supreme Court deadline. Is the EC's credible now on test? Can the Election Commission ensure a free and fair poll and restore image as a neutral umpire? Also, the plea in Supreme Court to stall the Citizenship Amendment Act notification. The politician behind that will be joining us. As always, we'll bring you all the news first, though. The 9 headlines. A day after a Supreme Court rap, the State Bank of India complies, sends all electoral bonds data to the Election Commission. Poll panel mandated by the Supreme Court to publish the details by 5 p.m. on Friday. A sudden change of guard in Haryana. Old JJP alliance with the BJP breaks. Naib Saini takes oath as BJP's new Haryana Chief Minister, replacing Manohar Lal Khattar, who was in the chair for the last 9 years. Congress announces a second list of candidates for the Lok Sabha. Ashok Gehlot's son Vaibhav to fight from Jalore. Kamal Nath's son Nakul repeated in Chhindwara. Gaurav Gogoi to fight from father's turf of Jorhat. But many leaders like Sachin Pilot have opted out this time. Home Minister Amit Shah hits out at the opposition over the Citizenship Amendment Act, accuses the opposition of blocking legislation for appeasement. Mamata Banerjee calls CA divisive. Andhra alliance of TDP, Jana Sena and the BJP finalized their seat-sharing formula. BJP will fight 6 Lok Sabha seats in the upcoming elections. TDP 17, Pawan Kalyan, Jana Sena 2. India booms at the Bharat Shakti exercise in Pokhran. Prime Minister Modi observes live war drill at India's nuclear site. Big Atmanirbhar defense boost for India. First ever Tejas crash. IAF's light combat aircraft crashes near Jaisalmer during an operational training sortie. The pilot ejects safely. A court of inquiry is ordered. India's retail inflation eases slightly. Retail inflation almost unchanged at 5.09% in February against 5.1% in January. And cricketer Rishabh Pant set to make a comeback in the IPL. 14 months after a life-threatening car crash, Pant will lead in the first Delhi-Punjab clash. But the big story right at the very top, the State Bank of India has submitted a few hours ago the electoral bonds data to the Election Commission. The Election Commission will now publish all the data on its website as demanded by the Supreme Court by Friday. Sources telling India Today that posting the raw data will be a challenge, but the EC is making a determined effort to meet that deadline of Friday. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court Bar Association, through a googly, its chief Adesh Agarwal has written to the president seeking presidential reference on the bonds and calling for a review of the judgment. All of this leading to speculation whether the government wanted a last-minute stalling of the Supreme Court's directive to have all the data published. Joining me now, right at the very top, is Nalini Sharma. She our editor at law today, to tell us what has happened in the court, and Dr. Adesh Agarwal, chairman of the All India Bar Association, president Supreme Court Bar Association. To you, Mr. Agarwal, first, because you have created a controversy. Aapne to badi controversy kar di. You are putting a presidential reference on a decision of a constitution bench. Many are saying, on what basis are you doing this? ये तो अगर आपको पहले तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट के पास जाना चाहिए था if you wanted a review. Why are you bringing in the president? क्या किसी के दबाव में? Are you doing it under pressure?
No, it is totally wrong. I am not a party to that petition, so I have no right. And now I have, because President of India has the right. So I have pointed out to her that you take up this issue. The main issue, I think there is a confusion. I mainly pointed out that you have directed the authorities, Election Commission, to disclose the names of the donors and to whom they have donated. So that will create problem for them, because you see, if somebody has given donation to Trinamool TMC and he is staying in Haryana, he's doing business in Haryana, there will be political vendetta.
No,
Wow,
but sir, all of this, sir, these are matters that you could have filed an application in the Supreme Court if you believe that you want to. Why?
no.
No, presidential reference by its
India
very
is having the
nature.
right.
Why a presidential
This,
reference?
why not? Because that is under that when such type of matter is there, this will create problem. I'm not disputing. We are not saying that this provision should continue, this bond should continue. No, I'm not on that. I'm on the point when Honorable Supreme Court direct that the Election Commission should disclose, put it on website. Make it
So
public.
you are against the disclosure of these names. I'll come to you in a moment again. Nalini Sharma, Mr. Agarwal and the Supreme Court Bar Association have taken a presidential reference, but tell us what happens next. Apparently, the Election Commission is saying putting up the raw data may take time. Are they determined to meet, though, the Friday deadline? And what about the pre-2019 data, which the court had told the State Bank of India and rather the Election Commission needs to be put up forthwith?
Well, Rajdeep, the Election Commission has confirmed that they've obtained the data from the State Bank of India regarding the electoral bonds. But at the same time, they also say, and this is coming in from highly placed sources within the Election Commission, our colleague Sanjay Sharma has confirmed that this entire data is in its raw format, which is why it might be a challenge for the Supreme Court to go ahead, and for the Election Commission, I beg your pardon, to go ahead and publish the data because it can't be published in its raw format. So they will have to clean up the data a little bit before publishing it on their website. What we are also learning is that they are working on war footing. All the teams of the Election Commission are trying to ensure that not just this new data that is coming from the SBI, but also the pre-2019 data that the Supreme Court had asked for goes up on the website as soon as possible. They are doing everything that they can to meet the March 15 deadline that has been set by the Supreme Court. And although they've said that it might be a challenge to do it, they are going ahead and trying their best. It remains to be seen what happens on Friday, whether or not the Election Commission is going to come back to the Supreme Court on the same lines like the SBI and ask for an extension of time if they're not able to do it, or whether somehow they'll make it happen and put up the data by 5 p.m. on the 15th of March or not.
Okay. Mr. Agarwal, the suspicion, therefore, I'm sorry to say, was the manner in which you have sought this presidential reference was in some way to question the authority of the Supreme Court's Constitution bench. That you seem to have a problem with the Supreme Court's Constitution bench asking for these bonds to be disclosed.
We always supported. Although the letter I have written on behalf of the All India Bar Association as the chairman, although I am the president of Supreme Court Bar, or Supreme Court Bar always supported the judiciary. We always stood with them.
But why is the Supreme Court Bar Association, All India Bar Association, with due regard, sir, is supposed to safeguard the rights of lawyers? Why are you getting into this matter? I mean, what is going on? Are you simply working under pressure from the government is the suspicion?
Government can fight at their own. As lawyer, as a senior designated advocate, as leader of the All India Bar Association, when I feel we have to protect that, only I'm on the issue that the name should not be disclosed.
No, so is it your business, sir, with due regard to protect corporates?
Yes.
Is it your No, sir,
yes.
with due regard, sir, is it your business to be protecting corporates? Your business is to be
Not
protecting
corporate.
lawyers and justice.
I have to see that land order is proper. It is not that the corporate people should be killed by general public.
No. So are you telling me that you have no faith in Justice Chandrachud and the judges who have passed this order? That you should seek a presidential reference?
No. Don't say like that. We have the highest regard. As chairman of All India Bar Association, as the president of Supreme Court Bar Association, we have always appreciated the role played by the judiciary.
So then why, sir, if you appreciate the role, why are you batting for corporates?
No, please try to understand.
Who are you batting for, sir? I'm sorry.
Five judges sitting together.
Yes.
They can differ amongst all. So it does not mean we have the highest regard, but views can be different.
No, so
Only
your
my
views can
different
be
view
different,
is
but you give a
that-
presidential reference only on a very serious matter when it concerns
Yes.
maybe a miscarriage of justice. What is the miscarriage of justice here? It
that
gives me
is-
the sense you are trying to protect someone.
Don't say ki corporate people are also human beings.
Of course they are.
They are advertising the most of the television, radio stations, and newspaper.
Sure.
Why not?
No, but why are you so worried about the electoral bonds issue? What is the Supreme Court Bar Association so worried about?
I am not said on behalf of the Supreme Court Bar Association, although I am the president, because I have written as the president of All India Bar Association. And why I'm saying, because you have to, at the time when they have given donation, they have issued the bonds. That time this was a valid law of the land. And why those people who have given donation in India, that system, why this was brought in?
Okay.
Because the politicians should not involve in corrupt practice.
Okay.
They should officially receive the support of the public, this corporate, etc.
Sir,
Instead of taking bribe.
Okay.
You want these politicians should be bribed.
Okay,
They should contest election by that amount.
Okay, let me leave it there.
Our concern is their names should not be disclosed.
You're saying names should not be disclosed. You're basically saying the Supreme, by saying what you are saying, you're basically questioning the judgment that was passed by Mr. Chandrachud and the 5-judge constitution bench. And I do not know whether you have the locus standi therefore to be challenging it before a presidential reference. I'm sorry, sir, I may differ with you, but I respect your right.
Everybody has a right to differ.
Of course, you have a right to differ. Yes.
People, you are educated, I am educated.
Okay, let's leave it there, sir. I appreciate you joining me here on the news today. Thank you very much for joining me, Mr. Adesh Agarwal, the President of the Supreme Court Bar Association. All of this is raising questions now. Remember, the State Bank of India was virtually forced to comply with the Supreme Court order and submit the electoral bonds data to the Election Commission. All eyes are now on a poll body which in a few weeks from now will be conducting the biggest exercise in the democratic world, the general elections. A poll body which has just seen one of the election commissioners resigning, with speculation over why he resigned. Remember, March 15, 5 p.m. is now the deadline for the Election Commission to put up the electoral bonds data. Is the poll body, though, facing a credibility crisis as we head into the elections? It's my top focus. Take a look.
The Election Commission of India is about to take up the biggest democratic exercise in the world. But just days ahead of declaration of general elections, the poll panel finds itself under intense scrutiny. The EC has received data of more than 22,000 electoral bonds submitted by the SBI. It has been directed by the Supreme Court to publish all the bond info on its website by Friday evening. Sources in the EC say it will be a challenge to post the data, which is in raw format, in line with the deadline. It is a busy week for the Commission. The Lok Sabha election process suffered a jolt after the surprise resignation of Election Commissioner Arun Goel on Saturday. The EC, in effect, is now left with only the Chief Election Commissioner, Rajiv Kumar. The appointment committee, consisting of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, a union minister and the leader of the largest opposition party in Lok Sabha, is expected to hold a meeting on Thursday to select 2 new ECs. A Congress leader, however, has filed a petition in the Supreme Court opposing the appointment of the new ECs by the government.
मैंने पिटीशन करी है कि इनके जो ऑर्डर इनको रिस्टेन करना चाहिए और जितनी भी इलेक्शन ऑफिसर्स की नियुक्ति होती है वो पारदर्शी तरीके से होना चाहिए और एक कमेटी का गठन होना चाहिए जिसमें प्रधानमंत्री, नेता प्रतिपक्ष और चीफ जस्टिस उसमें इंक्लूड होना चाहिए जिससे इसको ट्रांसपेरेंट तरीके से संचालित किया जा सके.
The BJP has slammed the opposition for trying to block appointments.
कभी ईवीएम पर ठीकरा फोड़ते हैं, कभी इलेक्शन कमीशन पर. ये इनकी पुरानी आदत है. 2 चुनाव हारे तब भी किया, विधानसभा के चुनाव हारे तब भी किया. जब जीतते हैं तब कुछ नहीं करते हैं.
What stands out is that Arun Goel's appointment itself had triggered controversy. Goel, a Punjab cadre IAS officer, was appointed as Election Commissioner on November 19, 2022, just a day after he resigned from the Indian Administrative Service. The Supreme Court had questioned the tearing hurry in which Goel was appointed as Election Commissioner. The EC has been hit by resignations earlier as well. In August 2020, Election Commissioner Ashok Lavasa had resigned months ahead of becoming the CEC in April 2021. He quit a year after he dissented against the EC decision that gave a clean chit to Prime Minister Narendra Modi on charges of violation of Model Code of Conduct. Even as preparations are on for Lok Sabha elections, the EC is faced with a credibility crisis. Bureau Report, India Today.
My first guest now is Dr. S.Y. Qureshi, the former Chief Election Commissioner of India, joins me. Dr. Qureshi, what are you making out of the Election Commission now? It's been put on the spot. It will have to publish those details by March 15th. Are you confident that the Election Commission will do a fair job and will ensure that the public's right to know is enhanced? Because there's a lot of concern over the way an Election Commissioner has resigned just before the general elections.
Yeah, Rajdeep, there are two issues that they're absolutely independent of each other. First, about the raw data. I don't understand what raw data means. I buy a bond. It is put on the computer that I bought this bond of this amount. I give it to you, you deposit it, and that is put on the computer that you encashed it. So what is the raw data which has to be deciphered? I really don't understand. Secondly, I feel it's bad for the Election Commission. Originally, Election Commission was given 1 week from 8th to 15th to put up this data. That has been curtailed for 2 days for no fault of the Election Commission because of the misdemeanor of the SBI. Now, in 2 days, if there is something really complicated about that raw data thing, it puts the Election Commission in a bit of a bind, but I'm sure they will come up with a solution and it will come up in time.
No, because, sir, yesterday the Supreme Court had told the Election Commission also that all the data pre-2019, before 2019, should also be put up on their site forthwith. It hasn't been put up so far. You're confident that by the 15th, the data will be put up? You don't believe this raw data argument. Am I correct?
Yeah. No, not that I don't believe. I really do not know what raw data means here. Because to me, it is very simple. The person who buys is on the computer of SBI. The one who redeems is on the computer. That data has been shared and it should be put up as it is. But what kind of deciphering is required, I really don't know. But in any case, I feel my gut feeling in knowing the Election Commission that they will surely have a solution. As regards the data before 2019, that I think our Election Commission was already in possession of that. It was in seal cover. So there also they should be able to put it up. But I don't know the facts, what exactly is the position, but I'm confident that they will be able to. Otherwise, they would have sought time right there or the next day.
Can I ask you this though? There is a question mark over the commission itself. A multi-member body is now headed only by a single individual, Rajiv Kumar. Mr. Arun Goel resigns in very suspicious circumstances, or should I say unclear circumstances a few days ago. Does that worry you? We are heading into the biggest democratic exercise and we at the moment don't even have a multi-member commission.
No, I don't think we should panic. The nation has no reason to panic for two reasons. One, I am very sure that within 3-4 days, within 1 week, the two new commissioners will be appointed and the commission will be full. And even if that doesn't happen, the CEC already has been in the Election Commission for 2-3 years. He has gone around the country reviewing the election arrangement. He is totally hands-on. And till 1991, one-man commission was CEC and they were handling the election beautifully. So therefore, nothing to panic. Till such time that the full commission comes in, he is capable of handling the situation.
But there will be questions whether the new commissioners also will be little more than yes men of the government. The fear, of course, is that the Election Commission is now packed with yes men of the Modi government.
No, that actually, I think it's a very vague thing. Anybody can be a yes man. Any man on any institution, coming from whatever source, can become a yes man. Therefore, to say that these two will be yes men is a little
No,
unfair.
because of the nature of the appointment now, the appointments will be made by a 3-member committee which comprises the Prime Minister, a Cabinet Minister and the Leader of the Opposition. So the government can decide who they want. Does that not worry you?
No, it doesn't, because I'll tell you why. Because for the last 70 years, it was the Prime Minister who was deciding, and all of us came through the same route, and no, you did not mistrust us, and we all delivered a wonderful election. Now, at least, even if the collegium is a sham, I really do not like the idea of two versus the leader of opposition. It's absolutely a farce. But then, just imagine that maybe the Prime Minister himself is making the selection as he has been doing for 70 years.
Okay.
And they've all acquitted themselves very well.
Okay, let me leave it there. Dr. Qureshi. We'll have a longer conversation on these issues on another day, but I appreciate you taking the time off to join me here on the news today. Let's raise the big questions on the Election Commission. Is the Election Commission's credibility now on test this time? Will the Election Commission be able to restore its image as a neutral umpire? Is the Election Commission simply caught at the moment in political crossfire? I'm joined by Gaurav Bhatia, the BJP senior national spokesperson and senior advocate at the Supreme Court of India, and Adil Singh Boparai, the spokesperson of the Congress and also an advocate Supreme Court. To you, Gaurav Bhatia, first, I want to get a sense from you. All this confusion over the State Bank of India being virtually forced eventually by the Supreme Court to put out electoral bond data and give it to the Election Commission. Now the ball in the Election Commission's court. People seem to be apprehensive whether the Election Commission is playing the role of a neutral umpire, or at least that's how the opposition sees it. How do you respond?
Rajdeep, I would say that the opposition today is intellectually bankrupt and corrupt both. And I'll tell you the reason. They don't believe in the Supreme Court of India. They have no faith in the Election Commission of India. They have no faith in the EVMs. They have no faith in any constitutional body that is operational. Even investigating agencies like the ED and CBI, they don't trust. The point is that under the leadership of Narendra Modi ji, all constitutional and statutory bodies have been given a free hand. They are autonomous and they're doing their job. When you can't win elections, you end up blaming these agencies. And let me just say that since you're talking about the Election Commission of India, this is how they have misused and abused the Election Commission of India. In 2014, when the general elections were on, Narendra Modi ji was asked by the Election Commission of India, most likely under the diktat of Sonia Gandhi and the Gandhi Parivar, not to do a rally in Varanasi. Then let us talk about Mr. Naveen Chawla, who was appointed as the Election Commissioner of India, Chief Election Commissioner, when his only credential was that he was close to the Gandhi Parivar, and the then Chief Election Commissioner, Gopalaswamy, had put in a report that he be sacked, but the government refused to. Then let's talk about MS Gill. MS Gill was an election commissioner, Chief Election Commissioner. He was given a Rajya Sabha ticket and then also made a minister in the UPA government. So these people today are casting aspersion on the constitutional bodies without an iota of evidence. And it can't be taken. Okay. It has to be rebutted. And that is why I'm sitting here.
Okay. You heard that, Adil Singh Boparai. I saw you smiling when Gaurav Bhatia said that all institutions are autonomous under Prime Minister Modi. But as Gaurav Bhatia is pointing out, please give evidence. When you say that the Election Commission's credibility is to be questioned, you're not sure about whether they are a neutral umpire, you'll have to give hard evidence.
Mr. Sardesai, firstly, what we're witnessing in this country today is an institutional collapse. And the State Bank of India is the latest entrant which has fallen prey to the BJP's strong arm tactics. Despite the information being readily available at the Mumbai branch, they file a frivolous application which has been rightfully dismissed by the Supreme Court of this country. Having said this, coming to your question, do I need to remind my very erudite friend about Mr. Ashok Lavasa? how he gave a dissenting note, and how he unceremoniously was forced to resign.
That's the former election commissioner for our viewers in 2019.
Does that not speak volumes about the BJP's strong arm machinations? Now take the case of Mr. Arun Goyal. Right on the eve of the elections, at the 11th hour, you have the second election commissioner resigning. Today, there is a single member who is expected to run the election process of the largest democracy of the world. So therefore, these are very legitimate questions which ought to be answered. Number 3, the Supreme Court has very categorically said that transparency is the bedrock of any democracy. The Modi government comes out with a fraudulent scheme called the Electoral Bonds scheme. They try to conceal, stonewall, digress, delay information on some pretext or the other. They do a volte-face before the Supreme Court at every available step. And even now, they left no stone unturned, because the country deserves to know who has funded whom and what is the quid pro quo. This is the same Modi government which in the run-up to the 2014 elections had promised the country that we'll bring money from the Swiss banks and divulge all that to the country. And today we talk about digital India, and they can't divulge information which is maintained at their Mumbai branch.
I presume though Adil Singh Boparai, the Congress party has no problem with information being disclosed about bonds that you have also encashed. Am I correct?
Absolutely not. We have no compunction. But the fact of the matter is, over 70% of these bonds have been redeemed by the BJP. The BJP cleared a scheme for unlimited political funding by corporates, and obviously once the information is out and the lid comes off the scam, we will get to know what is the extent and the magnitude of this quid pro quo. Should not Mr. Sardesai know which political party has been funded by the corporates?
No, but the fact is that just a minute, Mr. Boparai, for our viewers, remember, the Election Commission will not be matching which bond goes to which political party. The Supreme Court has not put that condition. So whether the quid pro quo will be proven is a question mark. But Gaurav Bhatia, you heard Adil Singh Boparai saying the suspicion is, the perception is that the BJP has something to hide. The BJP was not keen that these electoral bonds be made public. And according to Mr. Boparai, the State Bank of India, in a sense, was also part of this to somehow or the other stonewall the disclosure of these bonds.
The courts and the citizenry does not work through the perceptions that are created by the opposition to mislead the citizens. The citizens are smart. And let me now dispel every argument made, because it is more of whataboutery and nothing else. First of all, I am not a spokesperson for the SBI. SBI is an autonomous body, and the SBI Council was appearing before the Honorable Supreme Court of India. But as a lawyer, it's my duty to raise an argument. Every entity has the right to file an IA or a modification application for the modification of the judgment of the Supreme Court. The SBI availed of that remedy, Rajdeep. They wanted an extension. The Supreme Court refused. And I think such was the reverence that SBI had for the Honorable Supreme Court of India. Your channel was showing now they have submitted the details. So I don't think there was anything wrong. But
they have submitted details, sir, with due regard, they have submitted details virtually after a diktat from the Supreme Court. Earlier, they wanted the deadline to be extended to June 30th. Now, once the Supreme Court acted, they've been forced to give the details by Friday, sir.
See, Rajdeep, I tell you, every time I appear on your program, you have no knowledge of law, and yet you argue. And you shouldn't be doing that.
Sorry, sir.
As I told you very clearly.
Sir, you cannot quite. I have also knowledge of law. You're free to
bear with me.
You're free to dismiss me and say that I have no knowledge of law, but I have also a degree from Oxford, which I didn't want to say on the program, which is one of the highest law degrees. But go ahead.
So did they teach you to interrupt a panelist while he's making his arguments midway in Oxford? You're bringing quite a disrepute to the institution where you have studied, Rajdeep.
Okay, go ahead now. Go ahead.
No, that's also not a trait of a person who argues well.
Okay.
So let me make my points. I think I will make them.
Please go ahead.
So the judgment of the Supreme Court that has been delivered and the subsequent order says that no, we will not initiate contempt proceedings. And the SBI has now complied with the order. But having said that, there are very important points to be made. One is the ruling party, even when it was the Congress from 2004 to 2014, was getting majority of the donations, Rajdeep. The amount was 2,350 crores. Compare this with the BJP donation. It was around 1,100 crores. Not even half of what the Congress was getting. Now from the electoral bonds, Rajdeep, I want to tell you Congress has also got around 952 crores. Later which swelled up to 1,150 crores. TMC 768 crore because it is the ruling party in West Bengal. And DMK 431 crore. If you add up all the parties of the India Alliance, they've got 2,252 crore. Will they return that money? Why are they getting it where they are ruling the states? That's a question to be asked. Now coming to the next point. When my young friend says institutional collapse, let me tell you that Congress is the party which has abused and misused their ruling dispensation the most when it comes to constitutional bodies. Like Election Commission of India, M.S. Gill made a minister. Naveen Chawla appointed CAC after Gopal Swamiji's, objections and report.
Yes.
Second, RBI governor twice resigned. Do you know when? Under the Congress governments in 1957 and 1975. CVC. Do you know? Supreme Court quashed the appointment of the CVC, Mr. K.V. Thomas, during the Congress government. Now the judiciary. Only 2 instances in the history of a free India where the junior judge has superseded the senior judge to be made the Chief Justice of India by Indira Gandhi. What does it say?
Sir,
CBI
because
was
they
called a
didn't,
cage
sir,
parrot by the Honorable Supreme Court of India. And this Congress party talks about institutional collapse. I have cited 5 different constitutional and statutory bodies abused, pressurized by the Congress for their electoral gains.
Can I just get, you made a point, you made it strongly, that Adil Singh Boparai, this is a familiar argument now. BJP says, who is the Congress to tell us about institutions being subverted? You have a long history from governors, Raj Bhavans to chief election commissioners, according to Gaurav Bhatia, all of whom,
President
according to him,
even named.
yes, according to him, who have been compromised.
Mr. Sardesai, I believe in living in the present. But be that as it may, let me repeat what the Supreme Court has said, the Constitutional Bench has said in this case for Mr. Bhatia's information. We place the SBI on notice that this court will be inclined to proceed against it for willful disobedience of the judgment if the SBI does not comply with the directions of this court as set out in its judgment dated the 15th of February 2024. So if this is not a stinging indictment, then perhaps Mr. Bhatia will have to educate us on what stinging indictments are. Point number 1. Point number 2, we have seen a noticeable pattern.
I will answer that.
That pattern, Mr. Bhatia, you were telling us about not to interrupt. Please bear with me for a moment. Number 2, what we're witnessing with the Enforcement Directorate. How the ED is used as a hound dog to pressurize political opponents. And how it is used to make political opponents join the Bharatiya Janata Party, and how those cases disappear in thin air. I think that list is very long. Number 3, how governments are toppled. Do I need to remind my friend about the judgment in the Kaliko Pul case in Arunachal, in Karnataka, in Madhya Pradesh, in Goa, in Maharashtra, in Bihar, in Jharkhand, in Uttarakhand? This is all public knowledge. Today you have a government which believes in riding roughshod over every institution. They want yes men. They want one political party to rule the roost. They want to destroy a level playing field. And let me say this with a lot of humility. You have much more experience in public life than me, Mr. Sardesai and Mr. Bhatia. But let me say this as a young Indian. Let me say this, that the essence of a democracy is a level playing field. It is transparency, which is being calculatively destroyed by the Bharatiya Janata Party. Governments come, governments go. But that aura of transparency, that aura of maintaining neutrality must remain. And finally, on the Election Commission of India's composition. despite the Supreme Court orders categorically stating that it is incumbent to ensure neutrality, that you have the Chief Justice of India as the third member, the government has come out with a bill, which is now a law, to present the country with a fait accompli. Today you have a situation where the government, by virtue of a majority of 2:1, will appoint any person, notwithstanding any objection.
Yes, but
what
the fact...
was the fault with having a composition or a selection body which would have
Can I respond?
On that limited point, Mr. Adil Singh Boparai, Mr. Boparai, when the Congress was in power also, the government of the day had the power in a way to appoint the election commissioners.
We have to evolve.
Okay, we have to evolve. I'm glad you are saying that. I take your point. I'm glad you are saying we have to evolve. But Gaurav Bhatia, final word therefore from you, because Mr. Bhatia, the truth is we are facing we call ourselves the world's biggest democracy. There will be an election in a few weeks. Election commissioner resigns, reasons not known. Electoral bonds, there was a clear attempt by State Bank of India to get the issue deferred for a few months. All of this is leading to suspicion कि दाल में कुछ काला है.
राजदीप, दाल में कुछ काला नहीं है. कांग्रेस के पेट में जो काली दाल पहले की गई हुई है वो काली काली है. देश तो ठीक है. लेट मी टेल यू by some facts. My young friend again spoke about the Constitution bench judgment. First point I want to raise. What was the system of appointment of the Chief Election Commissioner and the Election Commissioner under the Congress? There wasn't even a collegium. There was no member from the opposition party. Here we have one. And the judgment of the Supreme Court pertaining to the appointment of the Election Commissioner also says, and I read para 315, we make it clear that this will be subject to any law to be made by the Parliament. And then the Parliament has made the law. If you have a problem, you move the Supreme Court. Someone did, but the Supreme Court did not stay that law. Second, regarding the ED,
sir, you're being a little disingenuous. You're being a little disingenuous. Yes. The fact is the Supreme Court had made it very clear that the Chief Justice should be part of the panel to ensure an element of neutrality. The government quickly changed that to ensure government...
Rajdeep, don't misquote the Honorable Supreme Court of India.
Sir,
I'm telling you. Again, I will say you don't know the law.
No, I will rebut that.
You want to argue with me.
Sir,
Para 315 said.
Yes.
I'm rebutting.
No, sure, sir, you're right. Para 315 did give the government the right to overrule what the Supreme Court had said. But Para 315 did say that you should have a Prime Minister and a Cabinet Minister as part of a 3-member committee. Because the moment you do that, then it's 2 versus 1. You'll agree with that, surely?
Can I respond?
Sir, very quickly.
Okay. I do not agree with you.
Okay.
First point is that there was a vacuum. That's what the Supreme Court said. The vacuum had to be filled with the law, and when it is legislated upon, then you cannot say the Supreme Court judgment will prevail. Second, after the law has been made, it has been challenged before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court in its wisdom decided not to stay it. So you can't say that the law, which has a presumption of constitutionality, is not a valid law.
Okay.
And third and most importantly, this government believes in strengthening the democracy and the institutions that are there. At least the Congress should not point fingers, that too without an iota of evidence.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
The Congress should not point fingers, but I might just point out for you, Mr. Bhatia, 95% of the cases of the Enforcement Directorate in this country are at the moment against opposition politicians. As a citizen,
this plea was raised before the Supreme Court.
Yes,
the
I know.
Supreme Court dismissed the petition
I am aware of that, sir.
Parties, Rajdeep.
I am aware of that.
All these facts.
I am aware of that.
You are
sir.
not aware.
I am completely aware, sir. I am completely aware. I am completely aware.
I think it is your responsibility.
Okay, Gaurav Bhatia, Adil Singh Boparai.
So why did you not tell the viewers then?
On a day,
14 political parties moved the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Their petition was dismissed.
But I am still entitled to my view that the election, the Enforcement Directorate's credibility, like the EC, is on test.
You are
That's my view.
entitled to your view after revealing all the relevant facts.
Okay. Mr. Gaurav Bhatia, who's questioned my legal knowledge today, and Adil Singh Boparai, thank you both very much for joining us. You will not be able to browbeat me. I am sorry, I have a smile on my face, but it was always a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you very much, Adil Singh Boparai, for your firm rebuttals as well. Good to have two lawyers on the show as always. Okay, Let's turn from there to today's top political story, which came from Haryana, where a sudden change of guard took place after the BJP ally JJP was virtually thrown out of the alliance there in Haryana over seat sharing differences for the Lok Sabha polls. Instead, now we have a new BJP chief minister there. Nayab Singh Saini is the new Haryana chief minister, replacing the former chief minister Manohar Lal Khattar. He's an OBC face and a close aide of Mr. Khattar. Why did the BJP do it? Take a look.
मैं नायब सिंह ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं हरियाणा राज्य के मुख्यमंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक और शुद्ध अंतःकरण से निर्वहन करूंगा।
Haryana woke up to high political drama on Tuesday. The state has got a new chief minister in Nayab Singh Saini.
जिस भाव से मनोहर लाल जी ने कार्य किया है, उस कार्य को आगे बढ़ाते हुए हर व्यक्ति की अपेक्षाओं के ऊपर हमारी ये सरकार पूरा उतरेगी।
The chain of events started with Manohar Lal Khattar quitting as chief minister amid reports of rift with the JJP over seat sharing. The JJP was keen to contest on 2 seats, but the BJP was in no mood to give any seat to Dushyant Chautala's party. While the BJP and JJP parted ways, by afternoon it became clear the BJP was going for an overhaul in the state that it swept in 2019. Saini was declared as chief minister after a meeting of the MLAs in the presence of central observers. Anil Vij, the home minister in the Khattar regime, walked out of the meeting in a huff.
मनोहर लाल जी जैसा व्यक्तित्व और व्यक्ति राजनीतिक क्षेत्र में होना असंभव सा काम है।
Saini is the current state BJP chief. He is a member of parliament from Kurukshetra. Considered to be a close aide of Khattar, Saini is also a known OBC face. The Congress has demanded precedence rule in the state, claiming the BJP has lost moral right to rule.
एक और समझौता हो गया है गठबंधन तोड़ने का, तो लोगों को गुमराह करने का, क्योंकि इस 5 साल में हर वर्ग इस सरकार से विमुख हो चुका है। इस पार्टी को कुछ भी सरकार में रहने का कोई अधिकार नहीं है। मैं कहता हूं कि तुरंत हरियाणा में राष्ट्रपति शासन लागू होना चाहिए और चुनाव में चले जाना चाहिए।
मैं नायब सिंह
With Nayab Singh Saini at the helm, the BJP is set for a new innings in Haryana. With JJP set to contest elections on its own, the Jat vote could split between the Chautala and the Huddas, giving the BJP an edge in the Lok Sabha polls. Bureau Report, India Today.
And just to say, we'll have more details on that Haryana decision at 10:30 p.m. on Elections Unlocked. Now, let's turn to our ground report today. It's been 4 years since the Citizenship Amendment Act protests. Remember, yesterday the government went ahead and said they were notifying the rules of CAA. One area where a number of people were arrested and the protests took over was Shaheen Bagh and Jafrabad in the heart of the national capital. Today, as the rules are notified, many of those in that area are still waiting for justice from courts after being denied bail under UAPA. What has changed? Milan Sharma files tonight's ground report.
Gulfisha Fatima was arrested for taking part in the anti-CAA protest at Shaheen Bagh in 2020. Her mother breaks down at the mere mention of her daughter, who's still behind bars, charged under UAPA, though she got bail in the protest case. 4 years since then, the CAA has been notified. Yet Gulfisha's parents continue to live in the past, waiting for their daughter's return.
बस पढ़ाई नहीं थी वो, इन कामों में कहाँ थी वो, तो बस अभी हो गया ये काम। हमने वो भी करा कोर्स रेडियो का, उन्हें पढ़ाई के अलावा दूसरा काम नहीं रहा था, ना वो किसी से ज्यादा मतलब वास्ता रखती थी, सोना और पढ़ना बस।
रात दिन यही जुस्तजू रहती है और ऐसा कौन सा दिन ऐसा जाता है जो कि ये नहीं रोती हो या हम नहीं रोते हो, किसी न किसी बात पे याद आ गई,
किसी न किसी बात पर याद आती है बच्चे की।
क्या वो तो हर टाइम याद आती है, ये तो कहीं वो ऐसी चीज है क्या करवट लो जब याद आती है वो तो बस सुना दिया जाता और बस बेटा मुझे सुना दिया जाता और।
Saima Khan was studying to become a dentist when her father was arrested after the CAA protests in March 2020. Salim Khan has been given bail in 2 cases but remains behind bars as he has been booked under UAPA.
अभी FIRs में लिखा हुआ है कि मेरे डैड के ऊपर जितनी भी धाराएं लगाई हैं उनके ऊपर सिर्फ एक या 2 ही बेसिक चार्ज लगाया हुआ है कि दैट ही इज होल्डिंग अ वाइपर, सेकेंडली ही इज अ प्रोटेस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजर। जब दंगे हो रहे थे तो बहुत से लोग रिलीजियस बेसिस पे एक दूसरे को मार रहे थे, क्योंकि मेरे डैड अपने स्टॉक्स को बचाने के लिए, अपने ऑफिस को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए अपनी जगह पे ही थे, तो वहाँ पे तब एक छोटे से बच्चे को मारा जा रहा था, पार्थ नाम था, तो मेरे डैड ने उसको बचाया था। तो इसका जिक्र FIR 60 में भी हुआ है। बेल जब उन्हें मिली है तो ये चीज आगे लाई गई थी, जस्टिस सुरेश कैत के सामने ये चीज रखी गई थी।
Another helpless mother, Noor Jahan, is waiting for her son Athar again. Athar was part of the CAA protest in Chandbagh and used to manage the stage. At 24 years of age, he was the youngest to be arrested at the time.
पहले हम अगेंस्ट थे उसके के प्रोटेस्ट में मत जाओ, तो उसने फिर हमें कन्विंस किया इस चीज़ के लिए कि मतलब पढ़ लिखने के बाद भी अगर हम इस चीज़ को नहीं समझ रहे कि हम सच के साथ खड़े हों, हम गलत को गलत कहें, तो फिर हमारा पढ़ना लिखना सब बेकार है। स्कूलों में भी पढ़ाया जाता है और हम समझते हैं इस चीज़ को कि प्रोटेस्ट करना कोई गुनाह नहीं है। कोर्ट से तो मतलब यही चाहेंगे कि वो इंसाफ करे।
At Shaheen Bagh, which became the epicenter of anti-CAA protests, an eerie sense of calm prevails. Shops, roads are open from both sides and traffic is free. A company of rapid action force has been deployed since the CAA rules were notified. Locals now speak nonchalantly about the protests. Many stay away from the media.
Shaheen Bagh continues to be closely guarded. With the rapid action force as well as the Delhi police deployed, this is as normal as the area can get, even after 4 years when the entire route was shut by protesters who were protesting against the CAA Act. With Ankit Singh in New Delhi, Milan Sharma for India Today.